The days after that night moved in a strange blur. I went through the motions, woke up, went to school, came home, but it all felt distant, like I was walking through a dream that wasn't mine. Every sound seemed sharper, every shadow seemed longer, and no matter how hard I tried to forget, my mind kept replaying that night over and over again. The pale creature's glowing red eyes, the black-furred beast that saved me, the way the woods had seemed to breathe with something ancient and unseen. At school, things were worse. Curtis, Donnie, and Malik wouldn't shut up about how I'd chickened out at the tracks. They said they saw me run back before even crossing, called me scared and weak, their laughter trailing behind me like a mocking echo. I wanted to tell them the truth, wanted to say that I'd seen something out there, something that nearly killed me. But every time I opened my mouth, the words died on my lips. They wouldn't believe me. Hell, I wasn't even sure I believed myself. The shadows in the woods, though, they were real. I could feel it. And they knew me now. One afternoon, about a week after it happened, I was sitting in the school library, pretending to read a book I hadn't even bothered to check the title of. The soft hum of the fluorescent lights overhead mixed with the quiet shuffling of students flipping through textbooks. It was peaceful, but not for me. My eyes drifted over the words on the page, but all I could see in my mind were those red eyes, the teeth, the feeling of being hunted. Every time I blinked, I saw the creature's face, inches from mine, grinning with hunger. I hadn't slept well since that night. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind outside my window made me jump. I knew, somehow, that thing was still out there. You've seen them, haven't you? The voice came out of nowhere, low, smooth, and soft enough to make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I looked up from the book slowly, heart pounding in my chest, and found myself staring into the eyes of a man I'd never seen before. He stood at the end of the aisle, tall and lean, with skin the color of dark mahogany. He wore a neatly pressed suit, old-fashioned but clean, and carried a worn leather briefcase in one hand. His eyes were sharp, almost too sharp, like he could see more than what was in front of him. But it was his presence that unnerved me the most. There was something about him that felt off, like he wasn't supposed to be there, like he had walked in from some other place, some other reality, and I was the only one who noticed. "What?" I asked, my voice weak and shaky. I swallowed hard, trying to push down the rising tide of panic in my chest. "You've seen the things that live in the dark," he said, stepping closer. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something cold. "The creatures that most people will never know exist." I stood up, knocking my chair back in the process. "Who the hell are you?" "My name is Mr. Beaumont," he said, setting the briefcase down on the table in front of me with a soft thud. "And I think you and I need to have a conversation." I glanced around the library, hoping someone else might notice the strange man talking to me, but no one even looked up. It was like we were in our own little bubble, separated from the rest of the world. The quiet of the library pressed in around us, and I felt trapped, like there was no way out of whatever this conversation was going to be. "I don't know what you're talking about," I muttered, already backing away. Mr. Beaumont's eyes never left mine. "I think you do." There was no menace in his voice, but there didn't need to be. Something about the way he spoke made it clear that he wasn't asking. He knew. I stopped, staring at him. "How do you—" He cut me off before I could finish the question. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last. I know because I've seen them too." I felt my throat tighten, my palms slick with sweat. "Seen what?" "The things that live in the shadows," he said, his voice dropping lower. "The creatures you encountered the other night, the ones that hunt from the darkness, that feed on fear and flesh. They're real, and you saw them. Now, they've seen you too." My pulse quickened, the weight of his words sinking into me like stones. How could he know? I hadn't told anyone what I'd seen, hadn't dared to speak of it. And yet, this man, this stranger, knew exactly what had happened. "What was it?" I whispered. my voice barely audible. The thing I saw, what was it? He studied me for a moment before answering, his gaze never wavering. It's called the hunger, one of many ancient things that walk this earth, hunting for prey. Once it marks you, it never forgets. A cold chill ran through me, settling deep in my bones. It was going to kill me. Yes, he said simply, and it still might. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I wanted to laugh, wanted to tell him that none of this was real, that it was just a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. But deep down, I knew he was right. The hunger wasn't gone. It had only been driven off, and it was still out there, waiting. Why are you telling me this? I asked, my voice raw. What do you want? Mr. Beaumont reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small, leather-bound journal. He placed it on the table between us and pushed it toward me. I'm telling you this because you're not like the others, he said. You saw it, and you survived. That means something. But survival isn't enough. If you want to stay alive, you're going to need help. I stared down at the journal, my hands trembling. Help? Mr. Beaumont nodded. There's a whole world out there that you don't understand yet. A world filled with things that would make your nightmares seem like sweet dreams. The hunger is just the beginning. And now that you've stepped into that world, the creatures in it can sense you. They'll come for you eventually. I swallowed hard, the weight of his words pressing down on me. I felt like a kid again, being told not to cross the train tracks. Except this time, I knew there was something waiting on the other side. What am I supposed to do? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Beaumont leaned in closer, his eyes narrowing slightly. You learn, you fight, and you survive. Mr. Beaumont didn't give me much choice after that. The next few weeks became a whirlwind of training, lessons that were as terrifying as they were surreal. He taught me about the creatures of the night, the things that hunted in the dark corners of the world, unseen by most but dangerous all the same. He taught me about sigils, symbols etched into skin or metal that could ward off certain creatures. He showed me how to use salt and iron, things I'd thought were just myths, but that he wielded with deadly efficiency. Every day after school, we met in a small, run-down building at the edge of town, a place that looked abandoned, but felt alive with something old, something waiting. Mr. Beaumont would arrive with his briefcase, and we'd go over everything. He had an encyclopedic knowledge of the monsters that roamed the earth, everything from minor spirits to things far older, far more dangerous. I learned about the hunger first, the creature that had stalked me by the tracks. It wasn't just a beast, it was ancient, a predator that existed beyond time, one that hunted by marking its prey with fear. Once it chose you, it would follow you until it fed. The only way to escape it was to kill it first. The hunger is like a bloodhound, Mr. Beaumont had said one afternoon, his voice as calm as ever. It'll follow your scent until the day you die, or until you stop it. Stop it? I asked, not really wanting to know the answer. He gave me a grim smile. That's where I come in. The first time I held a weapon, it felt foreign in my hands. A simple iron blade, cold and heavy. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was enough. Beaumont made sure of that. We practiced in silence, his movements slow and deliberate, mine clumsy and uncoordinated. The blade was supposed to be my first line of defense, but I wasn't sure I could swing it with any real purpose. You'll need more than strength to survive out there, Beaumont said, watching me struggle with the weight of the weapon. It's about knowing what you're up against. Every creature has a weakness. You just need to find it. That's when he told me about silver, the most effective way to wound the ancient beasts, creatures like the hunger. Its bite was fatal to many, and Beaumont handed me a silver knife. The silver knife felt unnaturally cold in my hand, as if it held more than just metal in its polished blade. It glinted under the dim light of the run-down building where we trained, casting long, sharp shadows along the walls. I turned it over slowly, the weight feeling different from the iron blade, lighter, but somehow more deadly. Mr. Beaumont watched me closely, his eyes reflecting the knife's sheen. "Silver's not just for werewolves," he said, pacing slowly in front of me. "It's for anything old enough to fear it. The hunger's one of them. When the time comes, you'll need to strike fast. It's not going to give you a second chance." I nodded, though the idea of coming face to face with that thing again made my stomach churn. The hunger had already seen me, already marked me. But now, knowing it was still out there, knowing it was waiting, I felt a bone-deep chill that no amount of summer heat could burn away. "Is that how you stopped it?" I asked, gripping the knife a little tighter. Beaumont's expression darkened, his gaze far away for a moment. "There are worse things than the hunger. It's not always about stopping them, kid. Sometimes, it's just about surviving long enough to fight another day." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words pressing down on me. It was clear from the way he moved, the way he talked, that Beaumont had been doing this for a long time. He carried the kind of silence that comes from seeing too much, from facing horrors most people couldn't even imagine. And now, somehow, I was a part of it. Like I'd stumbled into a world that wasn't supposed to exist, a world I had no way of escaping. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my fingers twitching, as if they still held the cold weight of the silver blade. The room was dark, but not dark enough to hide the faint outlines of everything around me. The desk in the corner, the old baseball trophies gathering dust on the shelf, the faded posters on the wall, familiar things that should have brought me comfort. But they didn't. Not anymore. I listened to the sounds outside, crickets chirping, leaves rustling in the breeze, the distant hum of a car passing by. Normal noises. But underneath it, there was something else. A silence, thick and heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Like something was out there, watching. I hadn't slept well since that night by the tracks, and tonight wasn't any different. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them again, those red eyes, glowing in the dark, hungry. I could feel its breath on the back of my neck, the weight of its presence pressing down on me, smothering me. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, my heart racing, my hands shaking. I wasn't sure if I'd ever sleep peacefully again.